I'm going to show you how to install the GuliKit Hall Effect sticks for the Ally X. Plus, we'll test the original sticks and compare their polling rate and more. Make sure to subscribe because we will be checking out the handheld DIY TMR sticks next week and then be doing a comparison against these GuliKit sticks as well. So GuliKit have made an easy drop-in plug-and-play replacement Hall Effect joystick module for the Ally X. They've even teamed up with ASUS to make calibration super easy via the Armoury Crate software, instead of using physical calibration buttons on the modules themselves. This is both pros and cons, but we will discuss that later. Coming in at £22, these are a cheap way to upgrade your Ally X, and if you're unsure what Hall Effect sticks are, essentially they're much more resilient versus potentiometer sticks. They use magnets instead of friction and massively reduce the risk of joystick drift whilst lowering dead zones. Let's start by removing the old sticks and installing the new ones, and then we'll compare the original sticks test results against the new ones results. I recommend that you find both stands that come in the box with your Ally X. We use these as kind of like a workbench, so you'll need a decent screwdriver set as well with PH1 and PH000 drivers, and you'll need a spudger. Links in the description. Align your stands with your joysticks sat in the recessed area whilst propping up your Ally X. This will protect your sticks whilst you open up the back. Get your PH1 driver and remove the 6 screws on the back plate, but bear in mind the screw in the middle at the bottom does not come out. Carefully pry your back plate off using your spudger, being careful not to apply too much force or you'll risk breaking those clips. Start wherever you can and gently twist that spudger to just undo those clips gently. Carefully remove the back plate by lifting it towards the right, so up and right. This is important as there's a delicate ribbon cable there connecting the back buttons to the board. So what you want to do once you've done that is lift up the black sticker covering the ribbon cable, lift the latch and gently remove the cable. And now you can set aside your back plate. On each joystick module, you'll find 3 more screws and another ribbon cable. So gently lift the latches, remove the ribbon cables first. Now you need to change your driver to the PH000 and remove the 3 screws on each module, making sure not to get them confused with the backplate screws. Now you can remove the modules themselves and remove the joystick caps. Grab your new modules and install the caps onto them. Give them a good squeeze to make sure they're on correctly, and then carefully seat them into place. Get those ribbon cables and again, really carefully seat them in to the new modules, making sure that they're fully inserted. Once inserted, drop the latch back down to secure them back into place and then replace the screws. Now, before we install the backplate, I highly recommend turning on your Ally X to ensure that they're working, and this all depends on whether you've inserted those ribbon cables correctly or not. You must plug in your charger into the Ally X before attempting to turn it back on though. Wait for the LED light on the top to light up before pressing the power button. Log in and just see that both sticks are inputting, in Armoury Crate or whatever, and if they are, now we can replace the backplate before we go into calibration. So turn your Ally X back off again, align your joysticks back into the recessed area on the stands, our little workbench that we're making to protect them. Get your ribbon cable for the back plate, reseat it, drop the latch to secure it back into place, and then be sure to reapply that black sticker over the top too. Align the back plate back into place and apply some pressure to latch the clips back in place, and this will be going along the outside all the way around it to make sure that it's clipped back into place. Now you can get your PH1 driver and replace all your screws. Don't forget to plug your Ally X back in and wait for that light to turn on before you turn it back on again. And now we can start calibration. So first off, if you know what you're doing and you want to use true raw mode with maximum true diagonals, don't bother calibrating the sticks, or at least just check. Mine was centered perfectly out of the box, therefore I wouldn't really need to calibrate if I didn't need to. And pre-calibration, you can see we have an error rate of around 19% with true diagonals, so the input looks like a square. And this is handy for retro titles and those that prefer raw mode for FPS games. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry, we'll calibrate the sticks now for a more modern input. So open Armoury Crate, go to the settings tab and select calibration. Follow the on-screen steps for both the left and the right joysticks. Now retesting their circularity now reveals that we have an error rate of 10.5. Still giving better diagonals than a 0% error rate, but less so than pre-calibration. And just for clarification, circularity error rate isn't a bad thing. It's just telling us that it's not a perfect circle. So joysticks with a 0% error rate actually have an artificial outer dead zone applied, and that can cause issues with retro titles that require true diagonal inputs, which cannot be achieved via a circular outer dead zone. Now let's test the original sticks and compare them against the GuliKit ones that we've just installed. Now, unfortunately, the original sticks have cardinal snapping, where it snaps to the axis once you go past it. Hopefully ASUS can address this in a firmware update in future. The original sticks come in at around 6.5% error rate as well. Now, testing the polling rate, the original sticks have a maximum of 1000 Hertz, but they only have a 60% stability, which means their average polling rate is about 600 Hertz. Now, sadly, the GuliKit sticks still suffer from the cardinal snapping issues. Again, hopefully ASUS can fix this in the future with an update. We've already seen pre-calibration that the GuliKits have an error rate of around 19%, after calibration about 10.5%. Now, this is better than the OG sticks' lower error rate, as it means we now have better and more accurate diagonal inputs, despite it sounding worse since we refer to it as an error. Testing the polling rate though, the GuliKit sticks still have a maximum of 1000 Hertz, this time a 61.92% stability with an average of 619 Hertz. So a really minor improvements against those original sticks. It's like margin of error, really. However, real-world gaming performance definitely differs. Not only do we now have a much less chance of developing drift, we have the greater diagonal reach. So playing through Call of Duty definitely feels more responsive compared to the original joysticks, despite them having the same feel and tension physically. So what are the negatives? Well, with no hardware calibration, these sticks are basically only for Windows. Installing Bazzite or even SteamOS when it drops may mean that you won't be able to calibrate these sticks correctly. However, for many, I don't think this will be a problem, since I think the vast majority of people will be sticking to Windows, but for some, this could be an issue. I feel like the stability of the polling rate could have been a bit higher. I was hoping to see nearer that 1000 Hertz, but despite this, 600 Hertz polling rate is actually still really good. Overall, these are a worthy upgrade for £22. They're an inexpensive way to fight against the dreaded joystick drift that everyone is worrying about, whilst also getting extra reach in those diagonals, which helps in retro titles and FPS games. However, if you want even better technology again with physical hardware calibration options, then make sure to subscribe, because we'll be testing out Handheld DIY's TMR joystick replacements for the Ally X next week. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if you're going to be getting the GuliKit Hall Effect replacement modules, or if you are going to get the handheld DIY ones, or if you're going to wait for me to do all of these videos and comparisons first before you make a decision. Let me know down in the comments. Whilst you're down there, like this video, subscribe, become a member, and stick around for our podcast on this channel and weekly news as well. Bye.